I'm Thomas K. Holcomb. I'm a professor here at the Olan University in California. I'm presenting about the topic of development of deaf bicultural identity. People everywhere discuss a lot about the importance of bicultural identity. What is it for? And the laws that are associated with ADA. And that means that now deaf people have a lot more access to education, jobs, services, communication, and discrimination is prohibited today. Now we have phones, TVs have captions, we have good video services, we have interpreters everywhere, we have video relay services, hearing aids are vastly improved, cochlears, deaf people can visually see interpreters, everything. And deaf culture eventually might disappear. But we're going to discuss the opposite. Deaf culture is very important. And deaf bicultural identity needs to be cherished. There was some research done about the theories about ourself and our identities, who we are, and if it's an important thing or not. And it influences a person's growing up and maturation. So as children, we look up and we see our parents and we love them and we support them and we respect them and we try and change ourselves to match our parents' expectations. And as we grow up, that shifts. And we want the support and respect. We still want it. A long time ago, most deaf people went to a deaf school, and they see deaf adults, and they see their identity, and they adopt it as they're growing up. But now today, most deaf people don't go to a deaf school. Most are mainstreamed. Do their parents support the deaf identity? Maybe, maybe not. Deaf people today, like myself, have many theories, and we are confused and struggle with this. The struggle and confusion is not about being deaf. Members of the oppressed groups, as children, they grew up confused. It was not exclusively for the deaf. Many groups of oppressed people grow up the same way. There were three researchers, Atkins and two other men, who analyzed this and said that there are 5 stages of people finding their identity. And these theories have evolved. Their work is not exclusively for deaf people, but for other groups of oppressed people. It just happens to also match the deaf community, so we are going to discuss that. The 5 stages. The first is community. Now, how does society view the community? Are they negative? Are they looked down upon? Do they respect them, judge them? And a deaf person oftentimes will look at that and do the same thing. They'll also judge and think that hearing is better. Community. Number 2, discernment. What was their first interaction like with someone of that community? Was it positive? Was it conflicting? And the information that they've received up until now. Now, as a deaf person, maybe they met a very smart deaf person, and they understand that. They're not speaking, they don't have a hearing aid, but they're still successful and they can work well. They're married, they have a house. That's conflicting with the information that my parents have told me, that my schools have taught me, with lip reading, and you must speak, and you must have a hearing aid. You must have that form of communication, and I've heard that all my life, and so it conflicts. And you start to think about that. What does it mean to be a deaf person? Often in my life, I've followed that, but I was never satisfied. I was deprived of communications. Friends were hard. I was often left out and judged. And these people had full access to their friends and communication, and I wanted that. So the third step is resistance and immersion. Meaning I want something better for myself. I'm not satisfied. I'm deprived, and I want to resist my parents, resist the hearing community for all the lies that I've been told up until now. And I want to immerse myself in deaf culture, in the deaf world, and start learning sign, start having deaf friends, going to a deaf school. I want that. I want the immersion. And step number 4 is inclusion. I miss my family. I miss my friends. And they've hurt me, and I don't know, and thinking about that. So I've been immersed, but it's not me. That I still have part hearing in me, and I like my hearing aids. I like music. I enjoy some of the things they have, and I'm conflicted on if they're right or wrong, and I have to analyze that. And I've met new role models, some in the deaf community, some wear hearing aids, some speak, some don't. It varies. And I see all of that in the community. That's me, that's not me. And I've learned more from different deaf role models that share some of my same experiences. And my beliefs are the same, and I also change myself to some of those theories. I want to match that. And the 5th step is awareness, knowing who you are. You want to know where you stand, meaning I have to decide on my own, not let my parents or my speech pathologists decide. I have to decide. Am I going to wear a hearing aid? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe I'll take it off. That's my decision. Maybe I'll speak or I won't speak. That's my decision. It's not up to the deaf community or the hearing community. It's my decision. And I'm satisfied with myself. I've established myself. I've gone through all 5 stages. Many deaf people struggle to go through those 5 stages, or any other oppressed group struggles with the same things. Next in my class, I teach deaf culture to students, and we discuss the experiences that they've gone through going through those 5 stages, and they're very different. We have people who identify as deaf people, and we have people in all 5 stages, and we're going to discuss that now. The first stage, conformity in the groups. So the first is captive, meaning that deaf people are clueless about the deaf community, clueless about sign language, clueless about a different world. They're not against it, they just don't know. They were never told, they were never exposed. Yes, they've worked on lip reading and stuff, but they don't know. The second is isolation, meaning there are people who refuse to sign, they refuse to interact, they support mainstream. But why is it called isolation? Many of my students share that same experience. There are many deaf people who share that experience. We've been deprived of communication and information. It's very serious.